Have you ever experienced feeling like an outcast, the underdog, or maybe you've always shown consistent dedication to reaching your dreams and goals? If you have experienced any of these feelings, you've probably related to an anime character at one point in your life, I would assume. You're watching this video, so I think you may have, nerd. One of the appeals of watching anime is no matter how unrealistic its fictional world may be, the characters still seem pretty relatable sometimes, but sometimes relatability needs to go beyond just personality traits and instead offer more screen time to characters with diverse backgrounds and cultures. Racial diversity was almost non-existent in early anime adaptations. However, in the past 4 decades or so, anime franchises have started to become more inclusive. We've started seeing more Black anime characters rise in the ranks and make huge impacts on the story. Today, we are going to highlight the most underrated and iconic Black anime characters that really deserve a spinoff. As the anime community continues to grow, the need for representation in anime grows along with that. Following a hero's epic journey in a fantasy world as they face discrimination and adversity is a story many Black anime fans know too well. Black people's love for anime has caused a cross-pollination between our cultural trends and current anime. Black-owned brands like Hypeland offer exclusive merch from the biggest names in anime. We've also seen celebrity anime fans like Meg Thee Stallion express her adoration for anime. In 2019, Michael B. Jordan even collabed with Coach to make a exclusive Naruto collection. And not to forget the anime inspiration seen in Pharrell's It Girl and even The Weeknd's Snow Child. But when we are specifically looking for cross-pollination and representation in anime, very little evidence is there. And when there is evidence present, the results are usually pretty cringe. For over decades, fans have had to identify themselves within their favorite non-Black characters, as most of the Black characters portrayed in old school anime are either controversial because of the stereotypical portrayals and exaggerated looks. When there was clear Black representation, the portrayals would often come off as problematic. For example, characters like Super Alloy Darkshine from One Punch Man and Sister Crone of The Promised Neverland are very recent depictions of stereotypical racist caricatures of Black people on screen. The obvious puffy lips and bulging eyes resemble elements of blackface, a concept created by and used predominantly by non-Black people to portray a racist caricature of a Black person. Despite the many racist caricatures in an art form that glorifies uniqueness, Black anime fans are still able to find valid representation in characters that may use personality traits commonly associated with Black people, because that was all they were giving us at one point. I think all Black anime fans can agree that Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z displayed the most shared personality traits of a Black person. His exaggerated swag obviously proved that Piccolo had some melanin deep inside that green skin of his. But depictions of Black characters don't always rely on racist caricatures. Sometimes we do see valid representation, especially in recent days. Nowadays, in cartoons and anime, racism has dialed down, but the stereotypes are still prevalent. Despite those stereotypes, many Black characters that continue to prevail inspire and related with viewers of color. One of the earliest depictions of a Black anime character being unapologetically Black is Claudia Grant from Robotech. Robotech is a science fiction franchise with an 85-episode anime television series, first released in the United States in 1985. Being second only to the likes of Gundam, Robotech introduced a generation to mecha anime, utilizing footage from Super Dimension Fortress Macross, Super Dimension Cavalry Southern Cross, and Genesis Climber Mospada, I think that's how it's pronounced. I didn't watch this show. Robotech was revolutionary in its treatment of people of color, women, and feminine men. The premise follows a multi-generational storyline about war with alien invaders. Through the war's progression, we meet one of the most influential Black anime characters in history, Claudia Grant. Claudia is a leading woman of color, proudly wearing her natural afro and also leading people in her role. In 1999, following the crash of the SDF-1, Claudia joined the military and quickly rose to the ranks of the newly formed Robo Defense Force, RDF. She commands a crew of about 15,000 members. Claudia Grant is one of the OG examples on how a person of color can have a well-crafted biography and genuine relationships with other characters that don't rely on stereotypical reinforcement. Another leading Black character that stings everyone with his lovable charm and quick-witted rhymes is Killer Bee from Naruto Shippuden. Other than the fact that he is a Jinchuriki just like Naruto, he is the host of Yuki, the eight-tailed demon ox. He also trained Naruto and his partners with him while fighting Obito Uchiha. But don't let Killer Bee's relaxed demeanor fool you. His iconic seven sword technique almost killed Sasuke. When he was a child, Killer Bee was just an orphan roaming around the streets of the village hidden in the clouds. At this time, a new Jinchuriki was needed to house the eight-tailed beast. Killer Bee passed the exam set to find prospective candidates to be the Jinchuriki and was appointed as an adopted brother to Komakure's future Raikage. As a Jinchuriki, Killer Bee also faced hatred and prejudice similar to Naruto. However, unlike Naruto, Killer Bee chose to simply shrug off the opinions of his peers and focus on creating dope rhymes instead. I'm not good at rhyming, so I'm not even going to try to attempt that. Killer Bee will obviously devour a spin-off if given the opportunity. He's such a beloved character of the Naruto universe that I'm sure many viewers would gladly invest their time into learning more about his backstory. A spin-off on Killer Bee could be formatted as a prequel and highlight his constant life changes from being a struggling orphan to his transformation into a Jinchuriki hosting the eight-tailed beast, to joining a highly appointed family as an adoptive son, and his adventures with his brother. Another character who also shares profound love amongst the Black anime community is Canary from Hunter x Hunter. Canary is an apprentice butler of the Zoldyck, that sounds right. Zoldyck. Definitely not Zoldyck. Canary is an apprentice butler of the Zoldyck family, the most dangerous assassin in the world, and the very family that is related to Gon's BFF, Killua. I love Killua, he's my favorite. We don't see a lot of Canary throughout the series. Actually, we aren't even introduced to her until Gon is attempting to break into the Zoldyck's mansion to save Killua. And although she may not have had a ton of contributions to the series, she did leave a lasting impression on fans. We still see Canary's influence in the cosplay community and even amongst the community of Black anime fans who wish to hear more of her story. What we do know about Canary is she is originally from Meteor City. Very little is known about Meteor City. We do know that it is a junkyard inhabited by outcasts. People who live there do not exist in any official records, and the existence of the city itself is known to very few people. Okay, so let me just make sure I'm adding this all up correctly. So Canary is a Black woman from Meteor City, which sounds like a very undeveloped neighborhood that probably gets little to no financial support, being that, you know, it's a junkyard city and all. Wow, what a backstory, right? And not to mention, she works for a company of butlers that offers services to rich families. Yeah, I'll let you add that one up too. The association of black characters as domestic servants is a very old stereotype we commonly have seen in media. Movies and TV shows often portray this trope that black figures only serve to help the white character on his journey. Although we have more black anime characters in popular franchises today, a lot of these characters, like Killer Bee and even Canary, fall victim to just assisting the main protagonist on their journey as well. And it's obvious from Canary's demeanor that she's not somebody you want to fuck with. After Gon receives his hunter license, he picks a fight with Canary in an attempt to reach Killua, but she has no problem putting him down. Canary has shown to be adept in assassination techniques and has a track record of defeating 100 henchmen that have tried to enter the Zoldyck. Google keeps telling me Zoldyck. It's not Zoldyck, it's Zoldyck. And she's also beaten the hunters. She can handle her own. Because Canary's presence left such a mark on fans of Hunter x Hunter, we would love to see more insight into who she is. A spin-off that involves Canary's apprentice training as a butler and the secret entanglements that the Butler Society gets caught up in will be really interesting to watch. This spin-off could even give us more insight into the lives of the Zoldyck family, the most dangerous assassins in the world. But we all know that the creator of Hunter x Hunter, Togashi Yoshihiro, is probably never going to make that because he's lost all interest in continuing to map out the stories of Gon and Killua. He's just not interested in them anymore. Another queen with some serious ass-kicking abilities is Yoruichi of Bleach. Yoruichi is the former captain of the 2nd Division of the Gotei 13, as well as the former commander of the Onikodo. Yoruichi is like the underrated star student of the class. She accelerated up the ranks of the branches of the military in the Soul Society. Yoruichi even became the first woman to hold the position head of the Shihouin clan. Yoruichi is a martial arts master with skills in stealth and Kido, and she used to command Squad 2 before her student Suifan assumed her role. We're first introduced to Yoruichi when she is in cat form, and with a male voice, no less. What is she, Salem from Sabrina the Teenage Witch? Thanks for coming out tonight, guys. Our protagonist, Ichigo, was already fed up after dealing with the first handful of Soul Reapers and Deadly Hollows. So, talking cat, it just seems like everyday shenanigans now at that point, huh? And of course, when Yoruichi transformed back into a human, clothes become pretty useless. And how she alone is able to transform from human to cat is currently unknown. If you don't refer to her by her first name, then you probably call her by her nickname, Goddess of Flash. And before I dive into some of her abilities, I just wanted to add that her list of badass fighting abilities is extensive. As I scroll through her abilities, I thought the scroll was never gonna end. Even her history in the Bleach series is the most extensive backstory I've seen so far for a black anime character. Props to Bleach, man. They really did their thing. Could Yoruichi be the most underrated black anime character? Yoruichi's previously high-ranked positions in the Soul Society were well deserved. She's not just an expert feline transformer, she's also a master in a variety of fighting skills, including hand-to-hand combat, utilizing the elements of lightning, and immense spiritual power. If we were to have a spin-off surrounding Yoruichi, I would love some insight into her current day-to-day and seeing the missions that she takes today compared to the missions she went on while working for the Soul Society. I'm envisioning like a nice back and forth, similar to like Lost, where you see current day and then you see the past and then you see how both of those experiences add up to what's currently happening in the current day. It's very refreshing to see Yoruichi, a black anime character who has more of a presence in the storyline other than just being a supporting plot device. It's also refreshing to see her make so many meaningful relationships and friendships throughout the Bleach series. This type of approach of intertwining relationships in a fictional story really helps support character development. And just like the bond between Uruhara and Yoruichi, this next friendship shows a connection that's just as deep. An important ally in Stardust Crusaders and Joseph Joestar's best friend forever. Avdol is a loyal voice of reason, and before joining the Crusaders, he made a living as a fortune teller in a bazaar in Cairo, Egypt. His very serious demeanor and dedication to slaying Dio proves that he is the type of man that will not stand for violence against innocent bystanders. Avdol is the type of person that always goes in with a plan and maintains focus within the group. His dedicated persona balances well with the goofier personalities of the other members from the Crusaders. But don't misinterpret that, because Avdol can be very goofy and join in on the shenanigans and be very boisterous just as much as anyone else. He shows really good control of being able to switch on his funny side and switch it off when he needs it. He also seems like the type of person that warms up and breaks out of their shell the more you get to know them. His abilities include being able to generate powerful yet controlled flames using his humanoid stand magician Red. Avdol was born with this stand and learned to control its power at a very young age. In fact, he is the first character to properly use a stand and get into a fight, the first to encounter Dio, and the first to throw himself in danger to save someone. Avdol falls into a very familiar racist trope where the black guy always dies first. Many JoJo fans were disappointed in Avdol's death because he was arguably one of the strongest of the Crusaders. This racist trope usually occurs when writers or directors wanted a more diverse cast to start with, but they also didn't want or know how to build a proper backstory for a minority character or give them as much screen time as the protagonist. A spin-off for Avdol would more than likely resemble a prequel, a dive further into Avdol's life in Egypt and his development in day-to-day training controlling his stand. But despite Avdol's sudden death and eventual resurrection, he will always be remembered for his confidence and his trademark gesture. Another character that knows how to bring the heat and control it is Ogun Montgomery of Fire Force. Ogun is a member of Special Fire Force Company 4. He is shown to be a peacemaker, usually the type to break up a confrontation, and is dedicated to maintaining safety for those living in Tokyo. His strong dedication to caring for others comes from an inspiring story of his ancestor, the immigrant hero, a ship captain who carried people to the Tokyo Empire during the Great Cataclysm. Ogun usually brings this carrying nature into battle as well. When he's ready to brawl, Ogun displays a sense of respect for someone fighting for their loved ones, even if he has to fight against them. Ogun is a third-generation pyrokinetic, giving him the power to create and utilize his own flame. Unlike other pyrokinetics, though, in the Fire Force universe, Ogun's abilities are much more refined. Other pyrokinetics can only control existing flames. Ogun is able to not just create flame, but create objects such as multiple spears and sword-like weapons out of his flames, which he can launch at his enemies during battle. He can also shape these flames to act like boosters for a hoverboard. This way, Ogun is able to move quickly across all types of terrain and fly through the air, making him a highly mobile fighter. Sounds like someone I would want to have on my team. To be honest, he's a looker. Another unique ability that makes Ogun stand out is his flamey tattoos. This ability greatly increases his strength temporarily, but it does come at the risk of him overheating quicker. If he does overheat, Ogun can always rely on his expert hand-to-hand combat and beat down his enemies with quick and brutal strikes. If a spin-off were to exist, instead of the story revolving around Ogun, I think it would be much more interesting to see a story highlighting his ancestor, the immigrant hero. In the Fire Force universe, the Great Cataclysm is known as a 250-year-old incident involving flames exploding around the world, devastating it and leaving most parts of the planet uninhabitable. Seeing the events leading up to the Great Cataclysm and the countless lives and heroes that were involved would keep viewers on the edge of their seat, similar to a post-apocalyptic story. Maybe some Last of Us vibes or something. We eat up post-apocalyptic shit. I know I do. As the anime industry continues to produce new stories, fans can only hope those stories include more racial diversity and representation. Because even the Black anime characters we reviewed today made huge impacts in their fictional universes and even our own. And I wish I could have dived into even more characters, but that would be a much longer video. Representation helps people feel seen, and in a media that glorifies being the underdog and uniqueness, I think adding more people of color could only improve the story. And if you agree, why don't you go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up and maybe hit that subscribe button, because I just hit 200 subscribers it was actually yesterday. I'm filming this the day after, and that was a huge benchmark that I was trying to hit. So let's keep that going. Let's keep the ball rolling. Let's hit 300 now. Come on, guys. Hit the subscribe button. You get great content in return. That's the only type of content I make. That's it for this. I'm gonna go play Animal Crossing now.